Hello everyone. Welcome back to Jane Online. Today we will learn about overfitting problem and what situation brings the model to overfitting and underfitting. So let's understand that. Okay. So here as I'm presenting here this tutorial on overfitting. So as you overfitting is the situation when the model is overly is learn your data set, training data set um, very well, but it is not generalizing the other data that is not included in training. That is called validation data set, right? So as for example, here in this plot, you can see the data point where the orange square box, small square box, you can see the data point. These are the data points, and the curve which is fitting over the data is is can we can say that the curve is tracing each data point exactly where it is placed, and the curve which is the shape of the curve also shapes like the according to the spread of the data. But when the model is applied on the data which is little bit slightly different on from this, then the model will again uh, either follow the same curve, or it will not be able to work, or it will not be able to generalize the curve on that data set. So that is why this situation is called overfitting. And so the reason for overfitting is like data set used for training is not properly cleaned. There are some nan values or infinity values are included in the data set. In that situation, model stucks in overfitting problem. So the cleaning of the data is very necessary. If you before going to implement the model, you have to clean the data properly. And the second reason might be that your model has a high variance. High variance means like the model will have the high variance. That means the spread of the or the spread of the data that is understand by the model is not properly it is a very wide range, not a limited range. So if the variance is high, then the model will get confused to make a prediction, right? And the third reason is the size of the training data set. If the training data set is very small, the model will overfit the training data, and it will not be able to generalize the validation data, and it brings the model to overfitting problem. So training data set is size of the training data set should be enough according to the problem. So if the problem, again, if the problem is very complex, the task being performed by the model is very complex, then the training data set should have a lot of variety of all the examples, right? So, and it can be possible if your data training set size is large. So the third reason is like you have to properly figure out what should be the size of the training set according to the problem. So the size of the training set also depends on the complexity of the task that is being performed by the model. So all these parameters that you have to take care of before going to implement the model, and the model is too complex. So like if your model is too complex, then you have to increase the number of examples or instances in the training set, right? So if the model is very complex, it will it will overfit the training set, and it will not be able to generalize the other data. So how can we tackle this overfitting problem? So there are multiple ways to tackle the overfitting problem. So first is using k-fold cross-validation. So here the k-fold cross-validation is like we have to split the validation data set into k segments. And the other way is like using regularization techniques such as lasso and ridge. So here regularization technique is a technique from which we can add extra noise to the total loss calculated from the model. And we want the model, and by adding this extra noise, we expect that model will learn to handle that extra error, and it will learn a more complex problem. It will learn to solve more complex problem. So that is why the regularization techniques we use. And there are two types of regularization techniques, lasso and ridge. And training, the third way to handle this problem is training model with sufficient data. So yes, we have to increase the number of examples in the training set. And another way that we can solve the overfitting problem is by using adopting ensembling techniques. So yes, as we can also use ensemble learning methods to remove the overfitting problems. So for example, this technique, ensemble learning technique, we use when we don't have enough data points in our training set, and we want the model to handle that data, and as well as learn the task very well and generalize the other data set also. So in that case, if we have a condition that our data set size is very small, in that case we can use ensemble learning method to solve overfitting problem. So this was the video like to explain what situation we call as overfitting, and how can we why a model face overfitting problems, and how can we solve this problem. So okay, so that's it for this video. Next we will learn in the next video we will learn underfitting. What is underfitting and how can we solve this? Okay, bye.